Welcome, friends. Today's practice is a completely wrist-free, gentle flow. The idea of this class is to give ourselves a lot more space. There are a number of us that have tenderness and injuries in spaces like our wrists and our shoulders, and even through a bit of compression through our upper back and our neck. And so the idea of this practice is to give a structure and a stability so that we can still move through our standing poses, but that we take some of the uncomfortable effort out of the way. We're going to start in a seated place. And if you have the availability to sit up on something, if you have a blanket or a cushion nearby, consider grabbing that. Lifting the hips just slightly gives the opportunity to take compression out of the hips by getting the knees and the hips in the same line. So if your knees come up quite high, you might want to lift the hips even higher. So this will eventually bring knees and hips into the same plane and therefore take pressure out of the hips and therefore into the back. I'm going to invite you to find a seat that can be comfortable for you. Take your shifts and your wiggles and your sways, roll the shoulders, loosen the neck. And then when you're ready to drop in, close your eyes and take a moment to land here. And the first couple of breaths to land are really helpful in transitioning from whatever our day has been already into this space of practice, of inner looking. To begin today's practice, I would love to share with you some words by a writer named Alison Dearling. And this piece is called "Yoga is not about being bendy." Yoga is not about being bendy. It's about showing up on your mat and in your life consistently, not knowing what is going to happen and being okay with that. It's about rehabilitating yourself and not believing the experts when they say you are too old or too injured. It's about believing that you can do anything, even if it's the scariest, most impossible thing that you've ever dreamed of. Yoga is about uncovering who you really are. It's about being kind to yourself so that you can be kind to others. It's about discovering that most of the crazy thoughts in your head are not true. It's about being healthy without needing to push yourself to the limit. It's about slowing down to get strong. It's about breathing and moving and smiling on the inside. Yoga is the hardest thing I have ever done, and the most difficult journey I have ever taken, but it is also the best. Let the weight of these words marinate through your tissue into your heart. Let the natural rhythm of your breath that moves through your body aliven in a way that nourishes everything. Long and patient and full breaths. We'll take 3 more together. And the next time you inhale, bring your hands up to fold over your chest. One hand flat on your heart and the other hand overlapping that. Connecting to the inner rhythm of heart, the inner knowing of the intuition. May we remember and understand and believe so truly that this process of yoga is much less about the achievement of really complicated and acrobatic looking poses, and much more about the journey in toward ourselves, this journey of knowing ourselves truly. Set an intention now to move from that space. And when your exhale comes, release your fingertips again. Bring them all the way down to the sides. And if you haven't been sitting to your absolute tallest, let the crown of the head rise up. When your next in-breath comes, sweep the arms out to the sides and reach fingertips high. And then when your exhale comes, turn your palms over like the air resisted you, like you had to press through it to bring fingers all the way down. Mirroring the length of the breath, inhale to stretch up. And let the length of the exhale dictate how long it takes to swim down. And take 3 more with our own breath. Every inhale to stretch, and every exhale to swim. And allowing the breath to feed us, so the inhales lift with possibility, and the exhales release the excess that we don't need. Good. Inhale, lift the shoulders straight out of, the fingertips straight out of the shoulders. Expand in a T shape, really letting the front of the collarbone stretch wide. And the next time you exhale, we're going to twist toward the left side. So the right hand can come across to catch the left knee, and the left fingertips can set to the floor behind us. Sit super tall through the space of the spine. This is a first twist, so we're not trying to go too deep. Find the place where the spine is happy to spin to, the chest peels open to the left, and we can maintain a full breath. We'll take 2 here. Good. The next time you inhale, spin your chest forward, reach your fingertips wide. And with an exhale, we'll spin to the right. Same thing. Right fingertips are the kickstand that holds the length of our spine. And the left hand just softly leads us into this rotation. Every inhale is an opportunity to sit tall. Every exhale explores where it is that we can open to the twist. Inhale, stretch your arms out wide, and then exhale, hands come back down. We're gonna let the hands rest onto the top of the knees, and when your in-breath comes, circulate your shoulders back, reach your chest and your gaze up. And the next time you exhale, you're gonna roll back into your sit bones, hammock your belly, and drop your chin to your chest. Good. Inhale, roll the crest of the shoulders back, peel open the front of the heart. And then with an exhale, push the space between your shoulder blades away, drop the weight of your head. We'll take 2 more. The inhales lift, and the exhales smoothly round. And when we move in this way, the body can really be guided by the breath, so let the breath be the leader. And then come to sit up really nice and tall. Rinse the shoulders 1 more time. Find your way up onto your feet, however that makes the most sense to you. Place the feet out about as wide as the hips, and then take some flexion in the knees and dangle and drape the upper body softly over the front of the legs. Now, it's completely unimportant whether or not the fingertips touch the floor, now or ever. Take a moment to really assess how it is that we feel through the space of low back. We feel through the sensation of the back of the legs. You could choose to have your knees quite flexed, or you can draw the legs all the way towards straight. Ideally, we're giving a lot of room to the shoulders and the neck to surrender and to rest. So if you have a tendency to keep your gaze lifted, looking at anything in particular, shake out the crown of the head to the floor, a couple yeses and nos. I even like to reach for and embrace my elbows. You might even feel like inviting a little sway in, moving the weight of the upper body side to side will change what you feel in the back of the legs. So get playful. We'll take 1 more big breath. Try to feed it into the space of your low back so you're breathing expansively. And let go of elbows, flex quite a bit through knees, and when your inhale comes, push through the surface of your feet and roll the body up to stand. And then when your exhale comes, drop your shoulders back and down. So standing at the top into mountain pose, we want to find a sureness with the feet. This is going to be our foundation as we step forward and back a few times. So bring the feet out about as wide as your hips. Feel to your hip points so you can judge for yourself how wide that should be. Plant through the feet and elevate through the chest. Crown of the head is rising. Fingertips alive. Breath full. We're going to try to connect with the rhythm of our own breath through 2 really short standing salutations. So as you inhale, plug through your feet, reach your fingertips up. And then when you exhale, flex through your knees and dive back down, forward fold. Halfway rise with an inhale, fingertips might crawl to shins, stretch the chest forward. And then exhale, release your head and fold. Good, sweep your arms out, draw your belly in, lift to stretch. And then exhale, bring your hands through the center of your heart. We'll take 1 more cycle like that. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, long and smooth, forward fold. Halfway rise with an inhale, chest leads forward of the tail. Exhale again, release your head and fold. Reverse swan dive with an inhale, draw your belly in as you extend. And then exhale, hands down through the space of the heart. Keep your hands connected to your heart. You're going to shift the weight slightly over into your right foot, and then de-weighting the left foot, we're going to step back to a warrior 1. So the back foot kind of comes at a diagonal. I recommend bringing the foot quite wide so we have a lot of mobility to sweep that left hip point forward. Bring your hands into the chest, and if it feels like you'd like to extend the elevation, reach the fingertips up overhead. Palms can be spread or pressed. Taking 2 more big breaths, really trusting into the strength of this right leg. Really good. When your exhale comes, bring your hands down into the center of the chest, push firmly through your right foot, and guide the left foot up. Good. With an inhale, sweep the arms up. And with an exhale, guide them back home into the center of the chest. Shift the weight to the left foot and step all the way back with the right. So the back heel again is coming to a diagonal. Enough of a diagonal and feet wide enough that we have room to rotate the pelvis forward without aggravating into the knee joint. So if we're going to stay kind to wrists and shoulders today, let's also be mindful of knees. You can always step the back foot wider for more control, spin the hip points forward, and lengthen the sides. There's continuous tracking of the belly in, and you might even find it beneficial to stretch the arms overhead, getting this space. Breathing into the outer ribs for 2 more. Good, when your exhale comes, bring your hands down into your chest, push completely through your left foot and step up. Good, feet to the floor, use an inhale to rise. And then an exhale, hands back down into the center of your chest. Okay, plugging through feet, inhale, arms high, upward hand pose. And then exhale, flex into your knees and sink your hips into a chair pose. We're going to take this into a bit of movement. So with an inhale, you're going to roll your shoulders back, tip your heart up. And with an exhale, you're going to straighten your legs and come down to fold. Good. Halfway rise with an inhale. Pull your chest forward of your tail. And then when your exhale comes, release and fold. Good. Flex through your knees, drop hips toward heels. With an inhale, raise the arms, chair pose. Stay for the exhale. We're going to do the whole cycle 1 more time. Inhale, roll the chest up, stretch. And then exhale, straighten the legs and dive to fold. Halfway up, inhale. Sweep forward, fold to exhale. Good, arms to the sky, stretching up. Hands to the center of the chest. Okay, keep hands into the center of the chest. You're going to track all your weight into the right foot and step the left foot all the way back, this time for warrior 2. So the blade edge of the back foot runs parallel to the back of the mat. We want a long enough stance that we have the ability to take a deep bend into the right knee and stack the right knee right over the center of the ankle. You're going to float your arms open and wide, referencing so that arms are coming straight out of shoulder sockets, chest is spread bright. Lift up slightly through the front of the pubic bone so it guides in toward the belly button. And you'll know how much because this inner deep core body will say, oh, I'm awake. And then breathe here 1 more. Good. When your inhale comes, you're going to squeeze your right leg straight, bring your hands to your hips. We're going to turn the right toes to face the long edge of the mat and pivot on the left toes to face the short edge of the mat. Bending completely into the left knee until we can stack knee over ankle and spread arms wide for warrior 2. 2 breaths here, deep and full. And then again, we're gonna change sides. So with an inhale, we straighten out through the left leg, hands onto the hips, and turn your toes to the long edge of the mat. Peel the right toes back toward the short edge and use an exhale to bend through the front knee. Elevate your arms for warrior two. This time, back hand drops to back thigh and front palm flips for peaceful warrior. Reach the fingertips up. Notice the tendency to come out of the strength of the front leg as the arm rises to the sky. Really give yourself the opportunity to sit into the lunge. Breathe one more big breath. Good. When your exhale comes, open your arms out wide to the side and use an inhale to straighten the legs, hands to the hips, tick, tock the toes. Again, as we get to a place where we feel steady through the feet, you can take a big bend through your left knee. Spread your arms open wide to the long edge of the mat. When you're ready to, back hand down, back thigh, front palm flips, reach it up to your peaceful warrior. Breathe a couple long, smooth breaths through the entire inner cavity of your body. 2 more. Good. With an inhale, straightening the front leg, hands back to the hips. Turn all 10 toes to the long edge of the mat, and then spin the right toes out to the short edge of the mat. This time we're gonna keep the legs straight. Extend the arms forward and back again as we have for warrior two. Guide inner thighs to pull so that we can tip the hips toward the left foot. And then keeping the chest spread wide, we're gonna cartwheel the hands to variation triangle pose. Your lower hand can rest on your shin toward the back of your calf. You could reach fingertips down to the floor. Peel your whole chest open as you're continuously guiding length through both upper and lower side waist. Your gaze can be wherever it's comfortable. You're gonna breathe 1 more. Good. With an inhale, pull through the chest, come to stand. Hands down onto the hips. Tick-tock the right toes to the long edge of the mat. Left toes to the short edge of the mat. Plug through all 4 corners of both feet. Guide the inner thighs together. Peel open the space at the front of your chest, extending fingertips wide, and then cartwheel slowly towards your front shin as you elevate your chest slowly through the right rib cage to spiral open. Breathe into the place that it feels manageable. Notice if the pose is cutting off the breath, and remember that it's not about being bendy. Good. When your inhale comes, lifting the upper body, exhaling the hands to the hips. 1 more tick-tock, so the left toes to the long edge of the mat, the right toes to the short edge of the mat. You're gonna take a great big bend back into the right knee, and this time your right forearm is gonna come catch your right thigh. Left arm can come straight out of the shoulder or all the way up over the ear. So options to stay in a variation where you can keep your elbow rested. This is a great way to keep the chest lifted, or if you want more length, you're gonna bring your fingertips down to the floor on the inner edge of your front ankle, using this as a guide to keep the knee moving to the pinky toe side. Breathe here 2 more. Good. Let's rise through warrior two with an inhale. And then straighten through the front leg and change sides 1 last time. Right toes to the long edge of the mat, left toes to the short edge of the mat. Big bend into the left knee, left forearm or elbow catches the thigh, and the right arm stretches out over the shoulder or up over the top ear. Find this place where the pose is comfortable, and again decide whether you're staying in a lifted variation or if maybe you're lowering fingertips to come into more depth through the hips. Wherever you're gonna be there with a full open breath, trusting that where the breath can flow evenly is the place where you'll find the benefit of the posture. Good. When your inhale comes back to warrior two, and then exhale, straighten the front leg, hands to hips. We're gonna turn all 10 toes to the long edge of the mat. Stay really plugged through the feet. Maybe even softly pigeon toe the toes so that we can give more broadness across the base of the back of the sacrum. Lift up through the space of the front of your heart, and then bow through your hip crease and fold. When you start to feel the back of the legs, consider reaching tented fingertips to the floor. So there's no need to flatten the hands here. We can keep quite a generous spread of the elbows, rinsing out through the neck muscles.
We want to feel like all four corners of the feet are pressed evenly, but we have the ability, if legs are drawn towards straight and that's comfortable, to lift the sits bones up away from the heels. Take one more big, beautiful breath. Good. With an inhale, begin to track your gaze forward. Walk your fingertips forward, and with some flexion in the knees, raise your hands to your hips and come all the way up to stand. We're going to plug the feet together, and when you feel steady, we'll find ourselves right into the center of the mat. Big toes coming to touch. Heels have a soft space between them. Hands can rise into the space of the chest. Lift the heart up entirely. Find the evenness of your weight moving through your feet. Shift it entirely into the left leg, sending a message. You're going to hold the weight. We're going to flex through the right knee so we can open that hip toward the right side. Good, and if we feel good here, we're starting to lift right toes up away from the floor. We're choosing to avoid the knee joint so we can be above or below the knee, pressing the leg into the foot and the foot back into the leg. If we feel balanced enough to grow branches, let them elevate and grow. And then honor the breath. The breath can tell us so much about poses like this. Holding the pose and not the breath reminds us that it really isn't about being bendy. It's about how we can take the lessons of this practice and infuse them into the real moments of our life. Balance poses show us all about that. We wobble and we sway, we fall out and we come back. When your exhale comes, bring your hands into your chest. Try to step this foot down to the floor with relative ease. And when it gets there, bring some life back through your legs, bring a pedal. And then reset. Reset so the big toes can touch and the whole body can elevate and the hands can come into the center. Shift your weight into the right foot, make sure that it's even, that it's holding you completely. And when you're sure of that, begin to flex through the left knee and invite that knee to begin to spiral open. So again, foot can stay to the floor, toes supported, little kickstand, or we can step up into the ankle, or up into the calf, or all the way up into the inner thigh. And hands into heart is beautiful, or some expression of our limbs, of our branches. Breathing all the way out to the edges of ourself. Good, full breath, one more. Good, when your exhale comes, bring your hands back down through the center of your chest and step the foot back to the floor. And if you need a moment to pedal, then pedal. We're gonna separate the feet wider, so wider than the hips, and the toes are gonna track into an outward turnout. So if you start to bend your knees, you'll see that the knees and the toes are moving in the same direction, and we want that. We're gonna use a big inhale to lift the arms up, stretch to the sides. And as you exhale, you're gonna bring hands down through the heart and come through a squat. Now, choices are to stay quite high in the squat so that your elbows can come support you on your thigh bones. Or if it's available, bring your fingertips down to the floor and see about lowering your hips to your heels. Some of us are in a place of the practice where our heels elevate quite a bit, and that's fine. Over time, you might find that they soften to the earth. If they do, go finger free. Bring your elbows to the inner edges of your thighs. Press the hands together and raise the chest toward the thumb knuckle. So all of these gravitational shifts will help lead us to both stability and space. Breathe into the place that is feeling the most heightened with sensation. We have two more. Really good. When your exhale comes, see what you can do to spot your landing and come all the way down. We'll turn to face the front edge of the mat. And as you do, we're gonna carve the flesh of our seat away so that we can feel the level of our sit bones. From here, bring your fingertips to the floor behind you, spiral the chest open in a lift, lean back enough that you can begin to feel the traction of your belly draw in. And once you have that, start to lift the feet. Now, I've worked with boat pose with every kind of client you can think of. And my favorite client when I lived in the north of Canada was in her 70s. We worked together for over a year. And by the time I left her, she could sit in a full open boat. So I'm gonna invite you to find a place that you can claim, fingertips down to the sides,
or snugged up behind your knees so you can peel your chest forward, or hands free with a big open spread, and then maybe even lift your shins and sparkle your toes. Breathe one more. Good, when your exhale comes, bring your toes to the floor, peel the knees open wide, and take a moment to bounce. We're gonna do it again. So find a place where you can find a little rinse, and if the rinse was necessary, you could set your fingertips into the floor without compressing into the wrists, and just take a little bit of a wiper with the knees side to side. And then one more time, come back into center. Bring your fingertips up into tense to find some stability through your spine. Loop your shoulders onto your back, lift your chest forward, and when you're ready, hover the feet. If it's a lot of work, that's giving us a place where we can start to track the work. We can bring the feet to the floor and lift back up. Feet to the floor and lift back up. If it's sustainable, we can come to one of these other places. And if we want more work, we can even start to extend the boat a bit wider, kick the feet away from us as we're trying to lift through the front of the chest. Breathe, my friends, one more. Good, inhale, lift it up, and then exhale, come down. It might feel really good to let the knees fall into the inner elbows and just sort of rock on the sits bones side to side. And we're gonna come through a seated place down toward the mat. So what I'm gonna invite you to do is crawl backward till you can have your fingertips point toward the top edge of the mat and the whole elbow and forearm down onto the mat. Take a loop of the shoulders onto the back so you can lift and elevate through your chest and look up toward your toes. So this is a really nice, safe space to open the chest. If it feels available with the neck muscles, you can start to lift the gaze, maybe to where the wall and the ceiling meet, or maybe to the ceiling all the way above you. If it doesn't compress into your neck, you could welcome yourself to lay the head all the way back, but I generally find in my body that's where it starts to change my muscular extension through the back of the neck. Breathe where you're comfortable. We'll take one more. Good, with an inhale, look back towards your toes, walk your elbows out of the way, and lay your back body all the way down. We're gonna find a place where we can open a diamond with our legs. So the soles of the feet are gonna touch together and the knees are gonna fall open wide. And if you had blocks that you wanted to tuck in under the thigh bones to catch you, that would be great. If it's comfortable, you're gonna spread your arms open in a cactus shape. So there's gonna be about a 90-degree bend in your elbows, so the backs of your forearms and the backs of your hands can rest to the floor. If this doesn't feel comfortable in your shoulders, if you feel like the wrists don't quite come to the floor, stretch your arms open wide into a T shape instead. Now let's just receive 3 long, even breaths. What I find to be true about my yoga practice and the thousands of practices that I have had the privilege to observe is that this powerful medicine of pausing and finding connection between the movement of our breath and the movement of our body brings clarity, and through that clarity, often a source of support and compassion and even courage. So take a moment to breathe in here, whatever it is that you need to receive most from this practice. Reminding ourselves that it's so much more than being bendy. And then sweep your hands down to connect with your thigh bones and help use the hands to draw the knees back up toward the ceiling. We're gonna separate the feet and separate the arms and take a couple swishes of the knees side to side. And then the next time the knees both fall over to the right side, we're gonna let them stay there. And if it's comfortable to stay in this position where the knees are splayed open and the hips both have quite a rolling in the socket, I'm gonna invite you to do that. And if it's uncomfortable in any way through your hip or through your back, you could gather the knees back together for more support. You could place blocks or blankets under the spaces here. Now drink in one more big breath. Lift through center, finding the balls of the feet to the floor. And then with an exhale, knees over to the left, same thing. You can stay in this variation where you're splayed out wide. If it's not working for your body, it doesn't serve, draw the knees back together. One more time, we'll wait for an inhale, lift the knees through center, and when the soles of the feet touch the mat, use that plugging to help re-square the hips, and if it feels right, hug the knees in towards you. In my body, I generally like to sway a little bit when I come into this space, and sometimes it even feels good to steer the knees in kind of a circular shape. So if the knees stare around in a circle, then generally that stirring comes all the way down to the back of the pelvis and the space of the low back. If we've done it one way, we'll go both ways. And then before our final rest, let's pause into center, bring our hands back behind our thigh bones and kick the soles of the feet to the sky. Using the leverage of the hands behind the back of the legs, plug the heads of your arm bones back to the floor, really rest through the back of the head and take one big breath. And then soften through your knees and extend legs out long. Invitation as we come into this shape of relaxation, shape of Shavasana, to find something that works for you. So into the comfort of your own home, you could certainly take a moment to locate anything that you might like to be supported by for this rest. And then give the weight of your body with a gratitude into the mat. Let all of the makeup of your physical body melt into this space. Let breath do its work to sweep through a last number of times, first settling the body, and then coming out to sweep the mind clear if anything's bubbled up to the surface that maybe we can let go of. We can do it with an audible breath in through the nose and out through parted lips. And then finally we can let this breath go too. For just a couple short minutes, we'll fall into a space where the deeper level of our work is just to invite ourselves to observe being still, giving ourselves the freedom to be still.
draw thoughts and awareness back from any places that they stray off to. Dive back into the center of your body and receive a couple of full breaths. Wake up a natural, subtle action within your feeling body, maybe something as simple as running your thumb across the tips of your forefingers, or wiggling down into your toes. Some of us will even be inspired to stretch the body out big and long. When you're ready to, the feet will touch the floor. Roll off to a right side or left side. Pause for just a couple of breaths. The practice of yoga reveals all kinds of things during this time on this simple rubber altar. So acknowledge what has been brought forward for you today. Choose what it is that you would like to rise with, what you'd like to bring forward into the rest of your day or your evening. Press a free hand into the floor and lift yourself back up. And we'll come to face the front of the mat or any angle of the mat. Drop your shoulders, close your eyes. You could choose to end with hands rested on the thighs, or if it speaks to your heart and your practice, you can lift and fold hands over the chest or touch them together in the home of the heart. Through the evolving personal nature of this practice and all the many forms that we can receive it, I truly hope that the time you spend with yourself gives you much to find pleasure in, much that renews you to move forward, to evolve into the very best version of yourself. Yoga can be a partner in our life for many, many things. And it is certainly not focused on being bendy. The light that burns within me sees and lovingly bows to that exact same light that burns within you. I thank you very much for sharing this class. Namaste.